All right, we move on to 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Indianapolis Colts at San Francisco 49ers, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And Bebsie, with the Niners coming off of the bye, I'm going to be leaning on you for a lot of the Niners breakdown. Let's go to the spread here. Niners open up as 4-point favorites. It's moved to 3.5. But Pinnacle hasn't moved it to 3.5, and Pinnacle doesn't have the 4 juice. So Pinnacle not following suit. The total opened up at 44.5. It's now at 44. When we go to the cash flow here on the Sunday nighter, 50-50 with tickets right now. Now it's only 4,287 tickets in. We'll get up to 80,000 by kickoff, maybe 100,000. 60% of the cash right now is on the Niners. From a total side of things, 59% of tickets are on the over, 82% of cash is on the over. 82% of cash on the over, and it's dropped a half point. So do with that what you may. A little confusing. Colts come in off a dominant 31-3 home win over the lowly Texans. Carson Wentz, 11 for 20 for 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. T.Y. Hilton looked excellent returning from injury. Much better than I expected him to. Much better than he looked all of last year. 4 passes he caught for 80 yards. Jonathan Taylor is a beast. God, he looked good. Last week, 2 weeks ago, he goes off for 100 yards plus receiving. I mean, took one to the house for 70 plus. This week, runs 14 times for 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. Darius Leonard, 6 tackles and a pick, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. Paris Campbell hurt his left foot after catching a 51-yard touchdown pass. So he did not return. And also, these are very important notes. Now, I'm going to go over the injury report one last time to see if anything changed. But T.Y. Hilton stopped playing in the fourth quarter, and they said it was his quad was acting up. And very interesting to know what's going on with him and whether he practices tomorrow on Wednesday. It's a key day. Rocky Ya-Sin, cornerback, ankle left in the fourth quarter. They both stayed out. Now, is that just because they were ahead by so much? Very possibly. They again played without Braden Smith, their right tackle, with a foot-thumb injury, and 3-time All-Pro Quentin Nelson, ankle injury, was out. So let's just take a quick look at the Colts here. So Paris Campbell's moved to injured reserve. Jordan Wilkins, Andrew Sendejo, Braden Smith, and Kamoko Trey, defensive end, they're all questionable. They were inactive last game, so nothing changed there. And here is T.Y. Hilton. So this is the latest from him. It says Frank Reich said Hilton's quadriceps felt better Monday after exiting the game. The team is viewing the veteran wideout as day-to-day ahead of Week 7 in San Francisco. And no update on Rocky Ya-Sin, and no update on Jordan Lucas, safety. So some possible injury issues. AB says sounds like both Hilton and Campbell will be out. Well, we know Campbell will be out, but it sounds like Hilton will be out. All right, let's move on to the 49ers coming off their bye week. Last seen 17-10 loss at Arizona. So I'm going to say a couple of things to you, Bebsie, and I'd be very curious to hear your feeling on this. So first off, Shanahan has not looked good this year. And D'Amico Ryans has looked very good. Is it fair to say? And I'm gonna run off a couple of things here, and then you answer. But is it fair to say that he's outclassing him, D'Amico Ryans, right now?
Look, D'Amico Ryans has looked fantastic as the D coordinator. He is playing to the strengths of this team. He's doing a great job, especially considering the losses they've had. Dre Greenlaw has been out since week 1. They lost Jason Verrett week 1. He's managed to plug guys in. And look, no other team, has held Arizona under 31 points. And the Niners held them to 17. I just think he's done an excellent job, and adversely, Kyle has struggled. Do I lose you again?
No, you're good. You're good. Okay. I find that fascinating, and I want to take it maybe to a different level now with Shanny. Garoppolo hoping to return from a calf injury. I'd love it if you could give us an idea of where we stand injury-wise with the 49ers after the bye week. But hoping that Garoppolo returns from a calf injury, but we're also dealing with a sprained knee with Lance. So 51.7% of his passes were completed against the Cardinals, 281 yards through the air and on the ground. Yeah, I mean it's a tough ask for Trey Lance. He wasn't facing FBS competition, and we're asking a lot from him. But it's 3 straight losses for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. And do you have a feeling of who's going to be behind center? And is there somebody that you would prefer to be under center?
I think there's very little doubt that Jimmy Garoppolo will be under center. There's a growing theory that this Trey Lance knee sprain, where they said he'll be out a week or two. He was held out of practice on Monday. I didn't get a chance to check in today to see if he practiced at all. But there's a growing theory that because of this QB controversy, that this knee sprain might be drummed up a little bit by the coaching staff to quiet some of the noise. Because, look, Jimmy Garoppolo has not looked good. He looked all right in weeks 1 and 2. He looked like the game manager that he really is. And so I think there's certainly a lot from the fan base. They want to see Trey Lance. I personally, it's a tough call because I don't think Trey Lance is quite ready, but I also think he gives them just as good or better of a chance to win games than Jimmy Garoppolo right now. And as long as you're not throwing him to the wolves, he had 16 carries in the last game. Like, you're asking for a guy to get smashed up, and he's a big kid. Like, he's a big boy. He's basically the same size as Josh Allen, but still, you're getting thumped repeatedly by NFL-sized players. That's going to catch up with you. So I know what Shanahan was doing. He's trying to not make him throw too much because, look, he's got a lot to improve in his passing game. He gets the jitters early on. He turfs balls. He sails balls. He threw that one right into Budda Baker's chest. But I did notice he had a lot more touch in last game than he has early on. So the kid's showing me he can develop. I think Shanahan is trying to protect him, and I don't know if that's helping or hindering him. And I think part of the struggle so far with Shanahan is that maybe he thought this would be an easier balance with Jimmy and Trey, but I don't know if it is. And I think a lot of that heat is coming from not just the fan base, but I think a lot of the guys in that locker room are probably saying to themselves, like, look, Jimmy ain't the guy. And they see what Lance can do. Now, there's big Jimmy supporters in that locker room as well. But Trent Williams said on Monday, he's like, look, we haven't been out of any of these games they played. They've been losing by 1 score. 2 good football teams. I don't think everyone's hitting the panic button in San Francisco, but their defense is obviously still playing great. A huge loss to their offense was Raheem Mostert, and the fact that they don't have Jeff Wilson. So they're basically running their run-first offense with 2 rookie running backs who are still really figuring it out, getting up to NFL game speed. So that has really stunted Kyle Shanahan's offense, and I think that is probably the reason for most of his struggles.
Okay. Is JaMychal Hasty going to help the running game?
I think marginally, yes. He's still not going to be a primary back. Like he's frankly not big enough to be a bell cow in this league. He's played very few games and he's been injured twice. First time was season ending. Second time was injured reserve. They've opened the practice window. I think he helps. But I really like what I see from Mitchell. And I think he will be a stud going forward. And I think him and Sermon are going to wind up being an excellent 1-2 punch. But they're still 5 games into their NFL careers. 4 for Sermon because he was a healthy scratch for week 1. So I think just a guy who knows the offense a little better and can be a spark will help.
Okay, we got to get into moves here, but Slatsy saying, why is this team always decimated by injuries? I mean, there's no rhyme or reason, is there?
I think it's a combination of things. I think they've had a history of drafting injury prone players and just thinking that they can get away with that. It has to do, obviously, something they're doing wrong with the training, because a lot of them are soft tissue injuries. And it's also, I hate to say this, it's a bit of shit luck.
Gerald Jones is betting Indy. Dennis Garcia is on Indy +4. Eric Rosas is on the Colts money line. Dennis Strutzy says, I'll pull Jimmy from last week. I don't know what I will play, but I know I'll be looking for a Colts play by Sunday. And I said that with the Titans. So the market has moved to 3.5. Market moving towards the Colts. And yet the bigger bets have come in on the Niners thus far. Is there a move for you in this game?
I'm going to stay off it because of the way Shanahan has been struggling so much. And I need to see Kyle Shanahan get right. And look, you're wondering who's going to play a quarterback. We don't know. Kyle already knows that. There's no injury question mark. He knows who's going to take the snaps. He's not giving anything away. An extra week to prepare. Some of these guys a little bit banged up. I would lean San Francisco in this, but again, I can't bet them until I see Kyle Shanahan get right. He is not getting the ball to his playmakers, except for Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is 5th in receiving yards right now, having already had his bye week. The 4 in front of him have not had a bye week. He's been a monster. But that's large in part the fact that Kittle hasn't been getting the ball. Ayuk has had barely any targets. There's something so strange going on with Brandon Ayuk right now, and nobody can figure it out. It's just all very cryptic and weird. And I think Shanahan, the way he bullies, I guess you could say, his younger players, Bill Belichick has always been hard on his rookies, but I think Shanahan is kind of taking that and going a little far with it. And he might be stunting the development of some of these players by giving them this weird doghouse treatment. So I'd really like to see a huge game from Ayuk, but I can't bet them until I see Kyle Shanahan get his playbook right.
I'm 100% with Caveman Bets. He says, I'll take the -3 of 49ers if it drops to that. I'm 100% with that. I think that the Indianapolis coming off weak competition. I know this isn't college football when you beat up a FCS squad and then face a real team and you don't look as sharp. But you have to think the Indianapolis Colts are gaining confidence, feeling good about themselves. Sure. And maybe that was what they needed as a team. But San Francisco off the bye. I'm with Caveman Bets completely. I'm going to wait. And if this gets to 3.
Well, strictly from a strategical breakdown, defensively, the Niners match up well against the Colts because the Colts, outside of Quentin Nelson, have had struggles along their offensive line. And this defensive front for the Niners has played great. So they're going to be all over Carson Wentz. It's going to be a tough spot. And look, the turnovers have not happened yet for them. They haven't had a ton of picks. They haven't had a ton of forced fumbles. But it takes one game for that to change around.
We need to move on to the Monday Nighter and put a bow on this, but do you agree with this market move towards the under? It's only a half-point move to the under, but the sharp bets at this point are coming in on the over. 59% of tickets on the over, 82% cash on the over. You had a free bet on the total, $500 bet on the total of 44. What would you do?
I would, in order for the over to hit, San Francisco's offense has to explode because they've been so quiet and so slow so far. And I think that's quite possible coming off the bye. But free bet, I'd take the over. But again, not a ton of confidence there.
Oh, I'm excited about this game. I'm going to need more time to prep. Birdie 16 units tonight in NHL. Unbelievable work. I'm still trying to scratch out a profitable night, Birdie, which I think is still in the cards for me. Great breakdown there in Colts Niners. That's your Sunday Nighter. It's going to be a fun one. When you say that the Niners could possibly explode offensively, I find it difficult to believe. Personally, I'm just like, not that I'm against it. I just find it difficult to believe.
You have every right to be apprehensive. So am I. I'm just saying it could happen. I wouldn't bet that it will.
Gerald Jones wants a quick weather check on that spot. We'll just do it very quickly here. San Francisco weather for the Sunday nighter. There's rain in the forecast all week long. Wind and rain. Jeez, yes. I didn't realize it was this bad. It wasn't as bad yesterday. 21 mile per hour winds and wind and rain. Wind and rain all day. Wow. If it becomes a running game with this weather and a defensive game, I mean, when you hear that the wind's going to be 20 miles per hour all day, actually not quite all day. Gets to 15 miles per hour at 10 a.m. and then 18, and then it keeps building all night. When you hear that's the weather, what is your first instinct?
I mean, both are run-first football teams, so I don't know how much that's going to impact the way this game is.
And still, we still have sharp bets on the over. So